Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the martial arts movie Birth of the Dragon, a movie that has been co-produced by the WWE Studios, which straight away will make a lot of people roll their eyes, and I don't blame you. They have been synonymous for some pretty bad movies over the last few years. But the buzz around this film has been a bit hot and cold. I've seen some people that have quite enjoyed it, and I've some people that have hated it. But I have to say, I do think the IMDb rating is a bit harsh, definitely. But what we get here with this movie, it is a movie based on the life of Bruce Lee and a certain point in his life in 1964 specifically, when he supposedly fought a Shaolin monk from China who was a kung fu master. It was supposedly reported that they weren't happy in China, that he was teaching whites in America, in San Francisco, so a Shaolin monk was sent over and he had to fight him to prove himself, etc. Now, if you take this movie just at face value for what it is, it's a pretty decent martial arts movie, and it is a lot of fun at times. However, where this movie critically fails, in my opinion, is the character of Steve, who apparently is based on Steve McQueen, the actor, who was one of Bruce Lee's students in the 60s, even though he's called Steve McKee in this movie, and he's not an actor, but I think he's meant to represent Steve McQueen. And this character, really, when he's on screen, it makes you want to beat the crap out of the screen. He's not likeable, he's not enjoyable at all, barely smiles, has not got anything redeeming about him, really. And the movie mistakenly focuses too much on him. When it focuses on Bruce Lee and the monk sent over from China, this movie's a blast and it's fun. The martial arts action scenes are really well done, and great fun to watch. But whenever the Steve's on screen, it slows the movie down to a snail's pace and it becomes a different movie. That part of people's reviews of this movie I completely agree with. It's undeniable. It was a mistake to make this movie making him the focal point. It didn't need it. I understand probably in a storytelling sense why they did it. Maybe to make the movie more relatable, I don't know, to Americans maybe. Bizarre choice, because this is Bruce Lee. Everybody knows Bruce Lee is a legend, and it was just a mistake. It shouldn't. If he was going to be in the movie, he should have been a much smaller part. So that's out of the way. If you're going to watch this movie, be prepared for that bit. Other than that, this is a very, very good movie, I think. Very, very enjoyable. Who isn't a fan of Bruce Lee? I mean, everybody is. The Dragon, the Bruce Lee story that came out some years ago, I thought was a really, really good attempt at doing a Bruce Lee biopic, and this taps into that a little bit. I think the guy who plays Bruce Lee in this movie, and I forget his name, I'm not even going to try and remember it, did an amazing job. He got his characteristics down wonderfully. Cocky, arrogant, confident, some of his movements and mannerisms. I thought he did an outstanding job as Bruce Lee. Really good. It was exciting to see him on screen. It did concern me a little bit at the beginning of the movie because he came across so cocky and arrogant that it was unlikable, and I was concerned that we were going to get this throughout the whole movie, and thankfully we don't. And I think when you do watch the movie, you will understand why he is so abrupt at the beginning and what he becomes at the end. It makes sense. So I think this movie, for some reviewers, I think it's, I think maybe it's getting a bit of a hard time, undeservedly. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's nothing special, this movie. I think, like I say, if you took the Steve character out and just got rid of him, this movie would have been much more popular, I think, and much more fondly remembered. It was a bizarre decision, and I don't know who made this decision, but it was a stupid thing to do in regards to that character. The two actors that played Bruce Lee and the monk from the Shaolin Temple, I think were wonderful in this movie. The action scenes, the fight scenes were very, very well choreographed. There were some scenes, I think, where the Shaolin monk was wearing like his orange robes and it was a bit difficult to follow, but I don't know if that was the point. It's a bit tame. I think it's PG-13, this movie, so don't be expecting, you know, limbs flying everywhere and what have you. I think they wanted to make this a bit more accessible for audiences, and it's still fun to watch, even though it is a bit tamer than what some martial arts movies you may be used to. But I think this is a decent enough movie. I immediately after watching it, I had a word with my son who does kickboxing and martial arts, and told him to get this watched because I think he'd really enjoy it, my lad. So yeah, if you want to just watch a decent Bruce Lee martial arts movie, you could do far worse than this. I think it's not that bad.